Yeah, whoa. Look, they can never keep me down, I'm going. And if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit.
What is going on? It's another Monday. Means another week of high school football on the horizon. Joining me today, of course, my man, Scotty T. Scotty, how you doing today, man? I know you had a fun weekend. How was your weekend overall?
Man, weekend was good. It's out in Scottsdale.
Please don't play no games with me. It was never about the fame to me. They needed the best, so they came to me.
Having a lot of fun out there. It is hot. I mean, we're here in Texas. We know a lot about the hot, but there's something about desert hot. It's a little bit differently than the humid. So, it was a fun weekend though, man. Josh, how are you? I was about to say, I think it's kind of bold, the sweatshirt that you're wearing.
Hey, you know, I gotta wear it when they win, and I gotta wear it when they lose. So, you know, I'm a Cowboys fan to the day I die, and I'm not one of those fair weather fans that's gonna jump the boat, you know, when they have bad seasons, which they've had plenty of over the last 25 years. So, you know, hey, besides, and I want to talk about this in here in a second, but besides, you know, Saturday night when Texas got throttled by Arkansas, I mean, absolutely demolished by Arkansas. The weekend wasn't too bad, so got those plays of the week out early Saturday morning. You know, cleaned up my Zelda room a little bit and kind of just watched some football. You know, hey, Cowboys didn't play yesterday. Obviously, we know they played Thursday, but just watching some of those football games yesterday, it's great to have football back and having those fans in the stands. So, man, it was some great games to watch yesterday. Congrats to your Texans, by the way, on going 1-0. Although, I don't know, Scott, do you want your team to be winning games, or are you trying to get that high draft pick this year?
Well, we could very easily go 1-15, I think, after this win. Maybe 2-14 because we do play Jacksonville twice. But even though Trevor Lawrence threw three interceptions, he also threw 3 touchdowns. So I think Trevor Lawrence is only going to get better throughout the season. It was his first not only professional game, but it's on the road as well. I don't care who you are. It's still hard to win a game in the NFL. So I think whenever we go to Jacksonville later on in the year, we very well could lose. We very well could win. Texans, though, were a pleasant surprise. We are in first place in the AFC South. But to answer your point, Josh, no, I'm not cheering for them to win, but I'm not cheering for them to lose. I'm very indifferent.
Right, because who knows? I mean, yes, it's not likely that the Texans will go on and win the Super Bowl, but you can really never know until, you know, usually around the midpoint of the season. I mean, heck, maybe they start off 8-9-0, and all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a second. This makes sense. So, you know, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't feel like that's going to happen. I mean, they play in a very inexperienced Jacksonville squad, first-year head coach, first-year quarterback. So it makes a lot of sense why they could win that game. But, you know, we'll obviously, I told someone yesterday, you really can't know how a team's going to do until about, you know, week 8 or 9, right? Midpoint of the season. You usually can get a good sense of a team. Yes, you may have a team kind of sneak up. Like, for instance, the year one of the years the Giants won the Super Bowl, I think they got into the playoffs at 9-7 and won it. So there are those some kind of one-off years, but for the most part, you really know what a team's going to do by week 8 or 9. So you know, now it's all about trying to get those wins when you can, so that way you're not having to fight for those wins at the end of the season. Any of the teams in the NFL surprise you this past weekend? Any of the outcomes surprise you?
I would say the Eagles. The Eagles really surprised me with how they won. I mean, you had the Heisman Trophy winner in Devontae Smith, and he scored a touchdown. It was the Eagles put on a surprising performance against the Falcons. I was very impressed with them personally, and the Rams.
That was That was a pretty surprising win. I do agree. I'm not surprised that they beat Atlanta, but maybe how dominant they did it by. Atlanta just haven't looked good these last 2 years, man, and it doesn't look like things are going to change. And you know, maybe that begs the question. Maybe they shouldn't have gone with Kyle Pitts. Maybe that's kind of just me wishing he'd gone to the Cowboys, but yeah, they just did not look good. I think that might be mine as well. I'm trying to think of some of these other games that happened to start the year. I mean, I think it was good for the Chargers to get the win. They've kind of struggled the last few years about finishing off games, and they were able to finish it. Cleveland letting that one slip away when they could have had it was kind of huge, a huge letdown for them. But yeah, I think if I had to pick one, it might be that one, just because of how dominant the Eagles were to start that year. Now it kind of puts some pressure on, if you're a Cowboys fan like me, it puts some pressure on the Cowboys to they got to win this week, and they're going to play the Chargers. Of course, we know they beat Washington. They're a very good defense. That one's going to be an interesting one to watch. How about the college level? Oregon beating Ohio State. That was a big kind of upset by a lot of people. Any of those games surprise you? I mean, obviously for me, the Texas game was a shocker. Not maybe so much that they lost, but how they lost. But what do you think, Scott?
Yeah, the Texas game was probably the headliner of the weekend. And when it probably really should have been Oregon going on the road in Columbus and beating the Buckeyes. So, yeah, I'm with you. Those two games stuck out for who I'm trying to think of. There's really anybody else. I mean, Florida State, if you're a Florida State fan, I mean, just tough break. You hate to see that with the Noles going down like that on the last play of the game. So I would say Florida State too.
It looked like they weren't even playing prevent or anything. It looked like they were kind of almost in like a zone or a man type of situation. Like they weren't really trying to, like, I mean, he got by them so easily. It's just like, what are you doing, Florida State? I would say Iowa. Iowa also impressed me with how they handled Iowa State. And now you got to wonder, does Iowa maybe become the favorite in the Big Ten with Iowa State kind of struggling these first 2 weeks? So I'm interested. I'm going to keep my eye on Iowa. Every so often they'll have a good year and then they'll have a letdown loss that will inevitably take them out of the playoff picture or the national championship picture. Up until 2016. So I'm keeping my eye on Iowa as well. So man.
Also, how about the Aggies?
So lucky. I was so lucky. Like, Colorado did everything to not win that game. I mean, they had that missed field goal, and then on what was it, like 4th and 1 or third and short or whatever, 3rd and goal. They end up like trying to run it down the throat of the Aggies defense. And it's like, if you're trying to score in that situation, don't do that. If there's one thing that Aggies are good at, it's their front, and Colorado missed a golden opportunity there. So, yeah, man, I was so upset because it was right there for the taking for Colorado. And but yeah, they got some work to do. I don't know how long Haynes King is going to be out for. Obviously, he got hurt early in the game. Don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that could be huge for A&M going forward, depending on how long he's out. Because now, granted, he was thrown in, obviously, game day, but that quarterback that replaced him did not look good at all. He had some okay throws, but for the majority of the game, just did not look comfortable. So they will have to fix that if they hope to compete in the SEC, because this was supposed to be their year. They only have Alabama. That's the only game that's really left for them. And when you look at the schedule, that should be the only game that's really challenging for them. And so this was their year to try to get to the playoff. And now with King out, who really knows, man? Who knows?
Look, it's also one of those you got to survive in advance. That's what they did. It's not impressive. And there's the committee, which is why we have the committee, because they can view stuff on that. But you got the dub and move on to week 3.
Which it's funny because, you look at it, Texas had this horrendous loss. They go undefeated. They probably still make the playoffs. So I don't know. Asterisk. Texas definitely not going undefeated. Texas is not going undefeated, which, by the way, we were on our morning meeting, and obviously me and Shane were getting hounded on a little bit. And during the meeting, Sark announced that Casey Thompson will be the starting quarterback this year, or not this year, for week 3 against Rice, which, I mean, to me, the biggest blunder was Hudson Card started out with 5 of his first 7 drives going 3 and out. You got to make the change there, and that was before halftime. You got to make the change there and not wait until almost the end of the 3rd quarter when the game was already out of reach. But, I mean, I could talk about that loss all day. It was just so bad on so many levels, and Texas offensive line
Let's
is
move on to
a
some high
mess.
school.
Yes, I could take all
Move
day.
on to some high school
What,
because I'm here in Houston and we are getting hit by a tropical storm, and I don't want to get flooded in. At the office.
well, hey, that's a nice place to get flooded in. I will say that's a nice building to get flooded in. But yes, let's talk some high school. We're going to talk some Austin, some San Antonio, and some DFW. Barring any internet connectivity issues tomorrow, of course, we will try and talk some Houston with Matt and Josh and maybe Dennis. But I think let's start with the biggest game, kind of the most surprising. Maybe not so much that they lost, but by how much they lost for, and that was Rockwall versus Lake Travis. Rockwall, of course, won that game with a pretty stunning fashion, if you ask me. Trying to find the final score on that one, 59-35. Our Shayna, she wrote about this game, recapping. It's the first time they've lost by more than like 2 scores since the 2018-19 season when they lost to Lake Travis, of course, the eventual state champion, or not like Westlake, eventual state champion Westlake. And they lost 44-14 in that one, but just a big time game from Mississippi State commit Braden Locke from Rockwall. Should this be panic button time for Lake Travis, or is this kind of a good wake up call for him, Scott?
No, it's not panic time. That's one loss. It's still early in the season. As we talk about, it's not even a district game. So if you're Lake Travis, you're fine. You probably need to shore up some things, especially giving up that many points. But this is why you play those tough games. And also, they've had tough games. They went out and beat an Arlington Martin. They went out and beat not Cedar Hill, Euless Trinity, week 2, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, that was Westlake. Who did Lake Travis play week 2?
That was Judson, yeah.
They played Judson. Yeah, so you already played Martin, you already played Judson, then you got to go play Rockwall. Like that might be some of the 3 toughest games next to Atascocita, I would argue, playing Allen on the road. So they might have been a little bit tired or just worn down, but they'll find. And also, things like this are good because I look at last year, Katie losing to Katie Tompkins. That woke up Katie. That exposed, hey, maybe we're not as good as we think we are. Or maybe, and it turned out they actually were. So maybe this is a good thing for Lake Travis too. Be like, hey, we got exposed. Our weaknesses were shown. Let's fix those now so that come the end of the season, come playoff time, we'll be ready.
Yeah, but one thing that worries me about this is, and look, I love San Marcos. As you know, I'm a San Marcos homer. They got them coming up this week, and they're not going to be the quality that they've played the last few weeks. And I know San Marcos has a ton of injuries that they're dealing with, but really, I mean, outside of maybe Hayes that they play on October 1st, they're not going to really have very much of a challenge until that Westlake game. So yes, they lost, but because of the way they lost, to me, you're really not going to know if they've been able to improve on, some of those maybe key areas that maybe they went back and looked at and say, okay, we need to fix these things until November 5th. And that's almost 2 months away. So yes, you're right that they've played some tough competition to start the year, but it is something to kind of keep your eye on because of the fact that they're not going to have a lot of tough competition between now and November 5th. So it is going to be something to keep an eye on to see if they fixed them. And like I said, you really won't know if they fixed them until they play Westlake, just because the level of competition is going to shift a little bit. So, but definitely, if you ask me, that's probably the shock of the Friday night, maybe just because of how bad it was.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good point. You're dealt the cards that you got, especially when it comes to teams in your district who you see year in, year out. So Lake Travis, we talk about maybe have a weaker schedule leading up to Westlake. You can't control that. You play who's in front of you. And so also, if they have any injury problems, that could be a time where it's like, hey, let's get back to full health. We might be a little bit banged up. Let's get back to full health. Take care of business, but I think they'll be fine. I'm not worried about Lake Travis.
Yeah. So, of course, that one is still circled up on the schedule, November 5th.
Oh, yeah.
Any games that you kind of kept your eye on that you want to talk about? I got a few I know I want to talk about, but I want to turn it over to you to see what any games that you saw that kind of piqued your interest as far as scores go.
I want to give a shout out to Richland. Richland, moving on, 3-0. You probably weren't expecting me to go with Richland here, but Richland, they are 3-0. They beat Haltom, Pascal, and Timber Creek. Next up is Colleyville Heritage for them. So I just want to give a quick shout out to Richland for 3-0. So.
And if you haven't yet, definitely go check out the plays of the week, because Richland, basically they won the game because of an amazing. I called it sometimes it's good to be lucky type of play. So basically, quarterback threw it to one wide receiver, and he was going to get hit immediately by two defenders, but it went right through his hands, into the hands of another receiver right next to him, and man, he's gone for like 60-something yards, and that puts them away, and they're able to hang on and beat Timber Creek, I think is who their opponent was. So, yeah, I agree. One I want to shout out in the kind of the Dallas, I guess San Antonio area, a 2A school, no, 3A school, Lowling, Texas. So the Lowling Eagles snapped a 30-game losing streak, beating Weimar 17-7. So it's their first win since 2017. So just got to shout out Lowling right there. So finally getting on the winning streak, or quote unquote winning streak, after a 30-game losing streak.
What was the losing streak?
30 games.
How many games?
30 games.
30 games. How many seasons? So that's 3 years.
Yeah, they hadn't won since 2017.
So this senior class, this is their first win ever.
I think pretty much, yeah. Now that maybe they've, I mean, you look at it, 30 games. Yeah, then maybe they had won if they had started as freshmen at like game 1 of 2017, because I think that's kind of what it equals out to. So depending on how the COVID games happened last year. So I know there was a couple others in the area, but I think there's still, I don't know what it is, but I think there is a losing streak out there that's longer than that. So another game we can talk about, Westlake, another convincing win versus Mansfield Summit, and they're kind of in the same boat as Lake Travis. Like, now that district play starting, they're really maybe outside of Hayes for them on October 14th. They're just waiting for Lake Travis on the 5th. So now is the time for them. I think for them, of course, I've been saying it all year, and it's kind of shown that it's been working so far. I mean, 21 points is what Mansfield Summit got, and that's the most amount of points they've allowed so far this year. But it's really going to be showing up that defense as they progress into the end of district, into playoffs. So Westlake with another convincing win. Scott, is Lake Travis going to be able to stand a chance against Westlake? Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, because that's going to be plenty of content to talk about.
Yeah, we got a lot of games that are going to happen up until then. A lot of things are going to change. November 5th, I mean, heck, that's almost 2 months away. So, yes, I think we table that conversation, because a lot's going to change until then, and we will be able to break it down thoroughly when that time comes.
I want to talk about two teams here now. I want to talk about Brennan, and I want to talk about Vandegrift. So, last few weeks we've been putting out our rankings, right? And every so often we get this comment like, hey, Vandegrift should be ahead of Brennan. They beat them in the playoffs last year. Well, first, this is a new season, so we got to rank compared to this season. But both teams, that was last year. Both teams have started off stronger this season. Brennan won 44-10 against Harlan, and Vandegrift went down to San Angelo, or not down, but drove a little west to San Angelo Central and beat the Bobcats. Both had pretty convincing wins. I will say both teams are moving up in our rankings. I won't say where they're going just yet, but both teams will be moving up in our rankings this week. But man, I think if things go the way they have this way, we're going to see them match up in the third round again. Because I mean, that's where they met last year. I think that's where we may see them again this year. It seems like they're almost on a collision course at this point, Brennan and Vandegrift. Yeah.
It sounds like it. I think so. They got a nice little rivalry brewing, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that game, because, maybe if Vandegrift wins, that person will say, see, I told you, and they would be right. Moving back to Dallas, South Lake Carroll staying 3-0 with not as the last 2 weeks. This one was far more convincing, 31-0 I guess their week 1 was pretty convincing as well, but they beat Prosper 31-0, and now they'll take on Arlington Martin, a nice little challenge for them the week before their district starts. So look out for South Lake Carroll. I'm going to be watching that or keeping an eye on that Arlington Martin game that they have coming up on Friday. And then finally, I think we got to talk about Rockwall Heath. They are now 2-1. Obviously, they had a 1-point loss to South Lake Carroll. They rebounded with a nice little win, and now they have McKinney North before their big matchup next week versus Rockwall. That's one you're going to want to watch. That is going to be a huge game to start district for both of them. So that is. Oh, go ahead.
There are 3 games that I like in Dallas. Oh wait, we're not talking next week, right? Are we gonna give a little teaser?
I mean, if you want to, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You touched on Southlake versus Martin. Love that. You got Humble going against Denton Geyer. Humble Atascocita going against Denton Geyer. Sorry, I said Humble. Atascocita is playing Denton Geyer. That's the number 4 versus 5 ranked team in the state. So keep an eye on that game. That's going to be a ton of fun to watch. And the team that just beat Lake Travis, Rockwall, they got the Highland Park Scots. HP Scots. So that'll be another fun game.
Yeah, and one other team I want to talk about as we close out kind of the show, if you will, is Austin LBJ. So they are 3-0, and they just beat a very good Waco La Vega team, one of those kind of teams that's always kind of playing Carthage for the state title. LBJ came up just short last year. They lost to Lindale in the state semis, so I'm keeping my eye on Austin LBJ. I think they have what it takes to not only get all the way to state, but potentially win it as well. So keep your eye on Austin LBJ. They've got a huge game this Thursday against Liberty Hill. That is going to be huge for them to really kind of test their mettle when it comes to, obviously, the run attack of Liberty Hill, who just beat Georgetown this past week. And then they got another game after that before they hit district. And I think it's clear sailing for Austin LBJ after a non-district play. So keep your eye on Austin LBJ for sure, though.
They are on the radar. LBJ, we see you.
Well, hey, look, I know that you're trying to not get rained out, so we're not going to stop the show just yet because I do want to get to our favorite segment, but let's do that. Let's go ahead and get to our favorite segment so we can get you out of here. Of course, we haven't done this in a while, Scott. This has been 3 weeks of without it, so let's bring it back. Who's that mascot? That's right. That's where I give you the name of a school, and you, Scott, have to give me the mascot. All right, Scott. I think last time you actually did pretty good. I think you did 2 out of 3 last time. So are you ready? These are you can get all of these. I have a very good feeling you can get all of these. Of course, I always say that, and then you get none of them right. So are you ready for your Are you ready for your first one?
Bring it on, baby. Let's do it.
All right. Let me put the main cam on there. Boom. There you go. This one we just talked about them, so you should get this one. Arlington Martin.
Wait, Arlington Martin. Yeah, we were just talking about them. They changed their mascot recently, right?
I do not believe so. I believe it is still the same. Sure? Let me double check and make sure I am not wrong. Nope, it is still.
I can see their
the mascot logo.
Yes, with the. Oh my gosh, Warriors. I don't know.
All right.
I don't want to say the other one.
All right, Arlington Martin Warriors is
sure
correct. Arlington Martin Warriors. So you're right. One of their logos has got the headdress, but I think they're moving away from that and more towards
that's
just the
M.
So yeah,
that's why. Yeah. Because I didn't know if it was like a Buddha Hayes situation, changing their mascot name.
All right, next one.
Okay. Woo!
This one is down in my neck of the woods. Little River Academy.
The Rivers. I don't. No, that's not it. Little River Academy. No clue.
A very unique Falcons. I'll let you change it. It's a very unique mascot. I guess I just told you you got it wrong when I said you can change it if you want. It's a very unique mascot. I'll let you change it if you want.
I'm gonna say the trees. Stanford Cardinal.
All right. You are incorrect. The Bumblebees. Little River Academy Bumblebees. Very
Really?
unique. Yeah, I think they're the only Bumblebees in the state. And the last
Good for
one.
them. Good for you, Little River.
Staying in the San Antonio area. We've talked about this team. Let's see if you can remember or at least figure out their mascot. Southside.
Oh, man. We have talked about them. I don't know this one.
It is a bird. I'll give you that.
Antonio.
It's a bird.
What?
It's a bird.
Southside Eagles.
Southside Eagles is incorrect. It's the Southside Cardinals.
Oh, I said Cardinals. I said Cardinals like Stanford.
Oh, and yeah, they actually just played St. Michael's this past week. So, hey, 1 for 3. I mean, you're back to your average. So, hey, not too bad, not too bad.
We're there.
And now we will move on to our last segment of the show so you can get out of the rainstorm. And that's one good thing. That's where me and Scott tell you one good thing that's happened either to us or just in general this past week. Scotty, I know you said I'm not going to like it. Let's hear it.
My one good thing was seeing the Cowboys and the Longhorns lose.
Oh, man. Wow.
I thought you were going to go with this noise again. Bah.
Wow. Yeah, we'll do that. There you go. Yeah. Man, how could you do that to me, Scott? Man, that's the.
I told you weren't going to like it.
But this is how you know that even though they really haven't done very well in the last decade, Cowboys a little longer, this is why they're so relevant and people still talk about them because people are happy when these teams lose. I mean, not only that, but they are the two most profitable franchises in college and pros, respectively.
It's because of stuff like that when you just don't know they're the most profitable franchises. That is why. That is why that. Okay. To that point, my other good thing is NFL is back. Tom Brady, I was watching the game at a restaurant that night, and it was getting very loud because Cowboy fans were very passionate. And literally when they scored with 1:30 left, there's other guys who were cheering for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, really just to get under my friend's skin. That's the only reason why. And we were like, well, you might as well chop it up for the Buccaneers. Have we seen this before? Like, tale as old as time. Water's wet and Tom Brady with fourth quarter comebacks. So,
well, and I think I told you this on our Friday show is that, as soon as that score happened, I text my friends like, well, we just lost. Yes. Because it's like you just, if you bet against Tom Brady with like the ball with 1 minute to go at this point, like I think I said on the Friday show, you must be new to football because if it's one thing you can know, it's like Tom Brady's going to go down and score somehow. So, but one good thing, I'm sticking with you with the Cowboys, but in a different way, is that just seeing Dak Prescott back and how he played, right? I mean, that injury, like when we saw it like live, that was, oh man, it was horrific to see that kind of injury. And he had to have 2 surgeries with it, and then there was the shoulder thing. But he came back, and like I said on Friday, he balled out and just. He's absolute stud against that Tampa Bay Bucks defense, and that gives me like some now with a little hesitancy, but some optimism for this year with our offense. Where if we can figure out our defense, and maybe our offensive linemen can all stay on the field because La'el Collins is now out for 5 games, as we found out for. He didn't violate the substance abuse. He just didn't he refused to take tests or something. And so they're fighting that, but he's out for 5 games right now. But just seeing him play, I mean, and just because there were a lot of people that said Dak doesn't deserve the money he got. He's not worth it. He's not a great quarterback. And he just came out there and Tampa Bay knew they were going to throw the ball and they couldn't stop him. I mean, just so great. So great. So that's my one good thing is Dak's back.
Dak's back. Man, what about Ezekiel Elliott, dude? Virtually taken away from the ball game. I mean,
but I think on that one it was more. It was more scheme, right?
7, 8 people in the box.
It was more scheme than anything else, right? I'm not too worried about that yet. Talk to me in about 6 more weeks, and I'll let you know. I mean, it was more about the scheme. And Kellen Moore even said today that in the little press conference that they called 28 run plays, and Dak checked out about I think 12 or 13 of them. Just because of this of what the Bucks were giving them, so they were giving them the pass, and that's what we were taking, and it almost worked. So I'm not too concerned about it.
I'm
I think the one concerning thing was on that touchdown. Now, even though on that it was 3rd and goal, and it was a pitch, and if the tight end gets the block, he walks in. Tight end doesn't get the block, but you would expect Zeke to truck this guy and just walk in, and he didn't do that. So that was a little concerning to me. But
I said it better myself.
I'm not ready.
The block should have been there, but he should have made that guy miss. Really?
Yeah. So, but I haven't hit the panic button yet. Some people are. Some people think they shouldn't have paid him. I'm not hitting the panic button yet, but the latch to the button, you have to open the latch and press the button. The latch is halfway open, so
It's within view, but we're not there yet.
Exactly. Well, hey man, stay dry, stay safe out there in Houston, and hopefully things aren't too crazy where we can get you on a few more shows this week. Tune in tomorrow, hopefully at noon, if everything goes according to plan. We'll be back noon for the Houston recap. Until then, everyone.
Hey, I kind of want to be in on the Houston recap. Yes, there were some good games around the state, but there were some really good games in Houston.
Hey, who called the who called that North Shore Westco game? I did.
You did.
That's right. I did.
Hey, how about Houston beating Ridgepoint? Like, there were fun games.
Yeah. I can't.
For everybody tuned in tomorrow for the Houston show.
Exactly. Until then, I'm Wack. That's Scotty. Stay dry out there, Scotty.